Welcome to today's deep dive. I'm your host, and we are going to unpack something that, well, you've probably heard a million times.
Right. I'm the resident expert here, and I think I know exactly what phrase you're talking about.
Yeah, it's that phrase, thoughts are things, which, I mean, let's be honest, it sounds like something you'd read off a cat poster in a dentist's waiting room, or maybe a fortune cookie.
It definitely has that fluffy, almost cliche feel to it nowadays.
Exactly. But what if I told you that specific phrase is actually the bedrock of what is effectively the textbook on American success? And I'm not just talking about, wishing for $1 million to fall from the sky.
No, absolutely not.
So the question for you listening is this: is there a real heavy-duty difference between wishing for money and actually desiring it?
Oh, there's a massive difference. It's basically the difference between a daydream and a lightning strike. And that distinction is exactly where we're going today.
Hmm.
We're looking at a book that completely changed the landscape of personal achievement.
We're talking about Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, specifically the 1938 original edition.
Now, I know the title. Everyone knows the title. But I think people forget the context behind it. This wasn't just some guy writing a quick blog post or a motivational pamphlet.
Far from it. You have to remember the history here. Hill spent 25 years researching this material. He analyzed more than 500 of the most successful men in America.
They're talking titans, right?
Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. He was essentially commissioned to decode a formula, a money-making secret that Carnegie had teased him with when Hill was just a young reporter.
That's the part that always gets me. Carnegie, the steel magnate, basically dares this kid to spend his entire life figuring out why successful people are successful, and Hill claims the secret is hidden right in the book.
He does, but he never actually names it directly.
He says it works better if you uncover it yourself.
Exactly. But for our mission on this deep dive, we are going to zero in on what Hill identifies as the starting point of all achievement. We are focusing exclusively on Chapter 2, Desire.
Desire. It sounds so simple, like, I desire a sandwich, or I desire a promotion.
And that's exactly where most people get it wrong.
Hmm.
Hill isn't talking about, I'd like a new car, or it'd be nice to be rich. That's just a wish.
Right.
He's talking about a consuming obsession, a pulsating desire that is so definite, so powerful, that it actually alters reality. The goal for us today is to figure out how to move from passive hoping, which is what 99% of people do, to that kind of aggressive, reality-bending desire.
Okay, so let's get into the first big distinction Hill makes, the difference between a hope and a burning desire. He uses a really specific story to illustrate this about a guy named Edwin C. Barnes.
This is the perfect case study because Barnes had absolutely nothing going for him on paper.
Paint the picture for us. What did he look like?
Well, it's about 30 years before the book was published. Barnes decides he wants to work with the great Thomas Edison. But catch the nuance here. He doesn't want to work for him. He wants to be his business partner.
That's just audacious.
It's bordering on delusional, frankly. He has two huge problems. One, he doesn't know Edison at all. And two, he's totally broke. He doesn't even have enough money for a passenger train ticket to Orange, New Jersey.
So most people stop right there. They say, I can't afford the ticket. Guess it's not meant to be.
Exactly. I wish would have died right on that train platform.
Yeah.
But Barnes, he hops a freight train. He travels like cargo.
I love the visual Hill gives us here. Barnes rolls into town on a freight train, looking like a literal tramp. But Hill writes that his thoughts were those of a king. He just walks right into Edison's office and announces he's there to go into business with the inventor.
And you can imagine how that went over. Edison actually later said that Barnes looked like a vagabond, but there was something in his expression that conveyed he was determined to get what he was after. So Edison gave him a job.
But not a partnership.
No, not even close. And this is crucial. He gave him a really menial job, sweeping floors, doing low-level repair work. And this went on for 5 entire years.
5 years. See, that's where the burning desire part confuses me a bit. If you have a burning desire, shouldn't you be impatient? Shouldn't you be quitting after 6 months if you aren't a partner yet?
That's our modern perspective talking. We want the life hack, the shortcut. Hill argues that the burning desire is actually what gives you the stamina to wait. Barnes didn't say, I'll keep my eyes open for other opportunities.
He didn't have a plan B.
Exactly. He said, I will remain ready until I get that which I am seeking. He burned all the bridges behind him. He staked his entire future on this one single obsession.
And the opportunity finally came, but it came in through the back door, didn't it? It wasn't Edison saying, hey, you're a great floor sweeper, come run the company.
It never happens that way. Edison had invented a new office device, the Edison dictating machine. His own salesman hated it. They didn't think it would sell at all. It was basically a flop waiting to happen.
But Barnes saw his chance.
Because he was obsessed. He was paying attention. He knew he could sell it. He approached Edison, got the contract, and ended up with the exclusive right to distribute it across the whole country. He made millions.
So the moral isn't just to work hard.
No. Hill argues the money was actually insignificant compared to the lesson. Barnes literally thought himself into a partnership with the greatest inventor on Earth. He didn't just wish for it. He created a definite desire and stood by it until it became a reality.
Stand by it until it becomes reality. That leads us directly to the psychological mechanism Hill describes as burning the boats.
Yes, the no-retreat philosophy.
It sounds a little intense for the average listener. I mean, you and I have mortgages. We can't just burn our boats.
Hill acknowledges that, but he's talking about a mental state. He argues that to truly win, you have to mentally cut off all sources of retreat. You have to make failure impossible, or rather you have to make success the only viable option for survival.
He tells that story about the Chicago fire to prove this point.
The Great Chicago Fire, yes. Imagine the scene. The entire city is in ruins. It's just smoking ash. A group of merchants are standing on State Street, looking at the remains of their livelihoods. They have a conference to decide what to do next.
And the logical, prudent, safe thing to do was to leave.
Of course, the city was destroyed. And that's what most of them decided to do, pack up and start over in a more promising section of the country.
Except one guy.
Marshall Field. He points a finger at the ashes of his store and says, "Gentlemen, on that very spot, I will build the world's greatest store no matter how many times it may burn down."
And he did it. That store became a global monument.
But look at the psychology behind it. The other merchants were operating out of a mindset of trying. They had a safety net, which was leaving. Field removes his safety net. When your back is against the wall, the mind enters a totally different state. It shifts from "I hope this works" to "I must make this work."
That intensity, that desperation almost, is what Hill calls the state of mind known as a burning desire.
It's high-octane fuel.
Okay, so I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, great stories. Barn swept floors. Field built a store out of ashes. I have the desire. I'm ready to burn the boats. But what do I actually do on a Tuesday morning? Because Hill is very specific. He doesn't just leave it at think positive.
No, and that's why this is considered a textbook and not just a motivational speech. In Chapter 2, he lays out 6 very specific practical steps to transmute desire into gold.
Let's walk through them, and I want to go slow here because some of these seem easy, but I have a feeling there's a trap in them. Step 1 is to fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire.
The key word there is exact. It's not enough to say, "I want plenty of money" or "I want to be comfortable."
Why does the specific number matter so much?
Definiteness. The brain can't target a vague concept. If you tell a taxi driver to take you somewhere nice, you're not going to get where you want. You need to say, "Take me to 123 Main Street." The subconscious needs a specific coordinate.
Okay, definite amount. What's step 2?
This is the one most people skip entirely. Determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just asking the universe for a handout.
Hill is very clear on this. He says there is no such reality as something for nothing. This is the law of compensation. If you want $1 million, are you giving $1 million worth of service? $1 million worth of product? You have to define the transaction.
That grounds it in reality. It's not magic, it's an exchange. Then step 3 is establishing a definite date.
Deadlines drive action. Without a date, it's just a dream. With a date, it becomes a project.
Step 4 is to create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action.
Note the urgency there, whether you are ready or not. Most of us wait until we feel perfectly ready. Hill says start now. The plan doesn't have to be perfect. Movement is what matters.
Then step 5 is basically summarizing the first 4. Write it all out, a clear, concise statement of the amount, the time limit, what you'll give in return, and the plan.
Writing it down makes it physical. It takes it out of your head and puts it out into the real world.
And then we get to step 6. And honestly, this is where I feel like a lot of people check out. This is the weird part.
It's the part that feels the most foolish, without a doubt.
Step 6 is to read your written statement aloud twice daily. Once just before sleeping at night and once after arising in the morning. And you have to see and feel yourself already in possession of the money.
This is the huge hurdle for people. It's easy to write a goal down on paper. It's incredibly awkward to stand in front of a mirror and read it aloud with real emotion.
Why does Hill insist on reading it aloud? Is it just for memorization?
No, it actually has nothing to do with memory. This connects directly to Chapter 4 on autosuggestion. Think of your subconscious mind like a garden, or maybe a very literal ship captain down below deck. It doesn't look outside. It just blindly follows orders on the bridge. But here's the catch. It only understands orders given with emotion.
So if I just mumble, I want $1 million while I'm brushing my teeth.
The captain hears nothing. It's just background noise.
Hmm.
But if you read it with the emotion of faith, if you can generate the feeling of already having that success, the subconscious accepts it as a command. It starts working on it behind the scenes. It's a mechanism to bypass your conscious doubts and program the deeper part of your brain.
So you're essentially hacking your own operating system.
You're planting seeds. And Hill warns us, if you don't actively plant these seeds of desire, the weeds of fear and poverty grow automatically. The garden doesn't stay empty.
Okay, I want to pivot here because Hill doesn't just use business examples to prove this. There's a story in this chapter that really stopped me in my tracks. It's about his own son, Blair. And I have to be the skeptic here for a minute because this story borders on faith healing.
It is definitely the most controversial part of the chapter.
So Hill's son is born without ears, literally no external ears, and the doctor says there is no auditory canal. The prognosis is that the child will be deaf and mute for life.
That was the harsh medical reality.
But Hill writes that he refused to accept it. He says, I will not accept this. He decided in his own mind that his son would hear and speak. He wanted to somehow transplant his own desire into the child's mind.
Correct.
Okay, but did he think ears onto his son? Because that's where you lose me. You can't just desire anatomy to change.
And Hill doesn't claim he magically grew ears. This is where we have to look at what actually happened practically. It wasn't magic, it was profound influence. As the child grew, Hill noticed the boy could hear very slight noises if he shouted near the bone of the skull. Bone conduction.
Okay, so there was a tiny physiological window there.
A very tiny one. But Hill completely exploited it. He started telling bedtime stories. He filled the boy's mind with this white lie that his affliction was actually a massive asset. He told him that because he had no ears, he would have an advantage over everyone else in the world. He told him he would be unique.
So he was building the kid's ego.
He was building radical self-reliance. He refused to let the boy learn sign language. He refused to send him to a school for the deaf. He treated him as a hearing child. He demanded that the boy be normal.
That seems incredibly risky as a parent.
It was extremely risky. But the boy bought into it. He developed this massive, unwavering confidence. And when he was college-aged, a new type of hearing aid, the acousticon, was sent to him to try out. Because he had this burning desire to hear, he put it on. At first, nothing happened, but he kept tinkering with it. And suddenly, he could hear.
So the technology saved him, not the thought.
True. But would he have even tried the technology if he had accepted the doctor's diagnosis at birth? Would he have had the patience to make it work? Hill argues that nature bends to the will of desire. He believes his persistent thought that desire, backed by faith, created the exact circumstances where the boy could find a solution.
So it's not that he magically fixed the ear, but he created a mindset in the boy that absolutely refused to stop until a physical solution was found.
Exactly. The desire was the bridge between the impossibility and the reality. And the son actually went on to work with that very hearing aid company to help thousands of other deaf people.
It really connects the mental impulse to physical restoration in a tangible way.
And Hill mentions a strange power involved here. There's a brief story in the text, almost a throwaway line about a child in a mill that illustrates this.
The little girl, right.
Yes, a farm owner threatens to beat a little girl if she doesn't leave his mill. She's tiny, powerless, but she just stands her ground. She stares this grown man down with this intense, wide-eyed defiance and screams, "My mom's got to have that 50 cents.
And the big tough guy backs down.
He literally drops the stick, reaches into his pocket, and gives her the money. Hill uses that to show that when desire is strong enough, when it's that pure, unadulterated, I will not move energy, it triggers a mental chemistry that other people simply succumb to. It fundamentally changes the dynamic in the room.
It immunizes you against the word impossible.
That's the key phrase. Impossible is just a word found in the Dictionary of Fools, according to Napoleon Hill. Keep in mind, Hill was writing this in the post-Depression era. The world was economically broken. He saw that the world demanded new leaders, new ideas, new methods. But he emphasized that the quality required to win wasn't just hard work or formal education.
Right, because plenty of highly educated, hardworking people were standing in bread lines in the 1930s.
Exactly. And plenty are struggling today. The missing ingredient, according to Hill, is definiteness of purpose. knowing exactly what you want and having a burning desire to possess it. Knowledge isn't enough on its own. It has to be organized into a definite plan and powered by this absolute obsession.
So let's bring this all home for you listening. We've talked about steel magnates, deaf children, and freight trains. But what does this mean for someone driving to work right now?
It means that riches, whether they are financial, spiritual, or relational, begin with a state of mind. They don't begin with hard work. The hard work follows the state of mind. It all starts with that definite major purpose.
I think we need to issue a challenge here. Because it's so easy to just listen to this on a commute and nod along, then change nothing.
The challenge is the 6 steps, specifically step 6,
The mirror test.
the mirror test. I challenge you to actually do it today. Write down your specific goal. Not, I want to be rich, but an exact number. Write down exactly what you are giving in return, and then tonight, go to your mirror and read it aloud.
It's going to feel incredibly stupid.
It will feel so stupid, you will feel skeptical, your brain will scream, this is pointless. Do it anyway. That resistance you feel, that's the barrier between simply wishing and actually desiring.
You have to push through the cringe.
Push through the cringe. Because as Hill says, all achievement, all earned riches have their beginning in an idea.
So here is a thought for you to mull over as we wrap up. If you are truly ready for the secret Hill talks about, you already possess one half of it. The other half is just recognizing it when it reaches your mind.
Couldn't said it better myself.
All right, that's chapter 2. Are you just wishing or are you desiring? That's the question to sleep on tonight. Thanks for diving in with us.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.